Yes, I've seen it. Butter has the fats that aren't going to clog the arteries. I've seen it, and I know it helps with heart disease. I do encourage fasting with my patients.
Do you think that a high-fat diet could actually fix heart disease?
Yes, I've seen it.
In patients, you've seen it.
In patients, right? They go on the high fat, low carb diet. They eliminate the processed food, and it's important what type of fat. You want to be using the natural animal fats and the minimally processed fruit fats. Coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, these things are okay to use as well. I prefer the animal fats, but those things are okay. And eating a lot of those fats in combination with animal protein, I've seen it improve heart disease. I don't have to really theorize about it. I've seen it, and I know it helps with heart disease.
Okay, I like to play a game here. I'm going to give you some foods and you tell me, can you eat as much of this as you want until you feel satiated? And that's going to help someone fix their heart disease. First one, beef.
Definitely so.
How about eggs?
Definitely so.
How many can you eat a day? How many eggs?
I don't know that there's a limit. I have become a little bit more cautious, and I talk to people about the source of the eggs, because you do have to be concerned about what that chicken is being fed. And if they're being fed a bunch of corn and soy, that can translate to more of these polyunsaturated fatty acids in the egg. Now, again, I don't know that the polyunsaturated fatty acids in that situation are as damaging and as concerning as they are in the bottle of vegetable and seed oil, but I have become a little bit more cautious about the source of your eggs. I think if you have well-sourced eggs, the chickens are truly eating what they're supposed to be eating out there in the pasture, you can eat as many of them as you want. If you're not sure about the source of your eggs and what the chicken was eating, you might want to be a little bit more careful. That doesn't mean don't eat eggs, just means maybe you don't want to do a dozen a day of those types of eggs.
So if I have pasture-raised eggs, as I do, highest quality, I have 6 in the morning. My husband has a dozen. Totally fine.
Totally fine.
This is going to be hilarious. People are going to think you guys are crazy for saying that. But if they can understand that the saturated fat and the good fat is good for you, it's going to fix your heart and fix heart disease, they'll understand that eggs, beef, and lamb is the next one, is good for you. Is lamb good?
Yeah, lamb is excellent. Lamb in many ways might even be better than beef. And I know some people that might trigger them a little bit, but lamb actually, when you look again at that kind of fatty, the profile of their fat, it probably has some advantages over beef, especially the other thing is that most lamb is grass-fed, grass-finished. We haven't really gotten into grain finishing lamb. They haven't figured out how to ruin lamb quite yet as they have with, some beef. So lamb is a great food to be eating.
I didn't know that. I'm going to eat more lamb then if it's kind of all grass-fed, because I currently have grain-fed beef. It's delicious, but if I can get grass-fed lamb and it's at the same price or even cheaper than beef. What do you think about, so we spoke about butter. Does butter unclog the arteries?
I don't know that we can say that butter unclogs the arteries. Butter has the fats that aren't going to clog the arteries. And if you're substituting those for the fats that do clog the arteries, indirectly, there can be an unclogging effect. Some of it is what you're taking away as much as what you're eating.
I love asking these questions because you're very on point and diplomatic. In a way, it does unclog the arteries, but you have to be careful to say it doesn't directly. But if you're not having these other fats, it is going to help have good, healthy arteries. Okay, last few. Raw milk, good or bad for heart disease?
Yeah, I think raw milk is great for our overall health, and I have no concerns about it when it comes to heart disease.
Wow, raw cheese.
Raw cheese, great as well. Yep.
Honey.
So honey, I think, is going to be situational. If you're not insulin resistant, if you're active, I think honey can be incorporated into the diet safely. The problem is that most people are insulin resistant to some degree. Honey, which is sugar, is going to be problematic for them. But I think if you are, like I said, if you're insulin sensitive, you're active, you have good muscle mass, and you want to incorporate some type of sugar, I think raw honey is one of the best types of sugar that we can incorporate into the diet.
Okay, any limit on salt if somebody wants to fix heart disease?
If it's real salt, There's no limit. If it's processed salt, that's where it becomes problematic. The reason that salt has become associated with high blood pressure and heart disease is the vast majority of salt, at least in the Western diet, comes from processed food. So it really became a marker for processed food. The unprocessed, good sea salt or good Himalayan salt, whatever it might be, that is not problematic, and people shouldn't limit that in any way.
Okay, so we've been talking about some foods that kind of cater towards a carnivore diet, except for the honey. I want to open it up to people that might include some vegetables, maybe do ketogenic, low carb. Is that okay to fix heart disease? And what vegetables are and salads are okay?
Yeah, so I think it can be. And again, this is where you need to be assessing where you're starting from. The more insulin resistant you are, the less you can tolerate carbohydrates, even if those are coming from a clean vegetable source like broccoli, cauliflower, something like that. And so these are situations where I oftentimes like to use with my patients something like a continuous glucose monitor, that they can see how their bodies are reacting to those things. And then the other problem that I guess gets introduced, right, when you start talking about salads and vegetables is, are you putting dressing on them? What's in the dressing? Are you cooking these things in vegetable and seed oils as opposed to cooking them in butter, for instance? So you want to be thinking about those aspects of it as well. But in general, I think most people are going to be able to tolerate a low level of these lower carbohydrate vegetables. And you just have to, like I said, kind of tailor it to your situation. How insulin resistant are you? How active are you? What's your muscle mass like? These things are going to affect how much you might be able to tolerate.
Makes sense. Pairing this, depending on what the person wants to eat with fasting, do people need to encourage a fasting window to fix heart disease?
I don't think you need it. I think it can be a very useful tool. It's not only when we start thinking about how much carbohydrate we eat, we also should be thinking about the frequency with which we're eating them. And fasting periods also have other advantages. Fasting can be a good tool to get you into a more ketogenic metabolism, can kind of force your body to start burning your body fat, and especially when we're talking about that visceral fat that's going to affect our insulin resistance. I do encourage fasting with my patients, and I do think it can be a very powerful tool. And again, there are different ways to use it, right? You can talk about the intermittent fasting, you can talk about the extended fasting, and I think those things do need to be sort of personalized, again, to where you're at, where you're trying to get to. And this is where working with a good practitioner, not just doctors, but practitioners of all sorts, can be helpful to help the individual kind of figure out a good plan for them.